All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking what is easily the most intense, fierce, and honestly, the most consequential legal war in modern tech history. We are talking about the epic clash between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. At the very center of this battle is a profound question about the soul of OpenAI, and really its transition from a donor-funded nonprofit lab into this massive commercial powerhouse. Look, this isn't just your standard corporate boardroom drama. This is a story about broken promises, absolutely staggering amounts of money, and a bitter, bitter fight over who actually gets to control the future of human intelligence. A future, by the way, that is going to directly impact every single one of us.
So Elon Musk's fundamental grievance can basically be summed up in one brutal accusation. He told them, "You took humanity's insurance policy and turned it into a proprietary ATM." That hits hard, right? Musk truly believes OpenAI was built strictly to protect humanity. So, by locking up its technology to chase billions of dollars in profit, he feels Sam Altman and the current leadership have completely betrayed that foundational mission. He views this whole thing as an unforgivable hijacking of a public good.
But then you have Sam Altman, who views it completely differently. His response? We chose pragmatic execution over nostalgic purity. Altman's defense is grounded in the brutal reality of the tech industry today. He firmly believes that building safe, artificial general intelligence, or AGI, requires just massive, unprecedented amounts of private capital. To Altman, clinging to a pure nonprofit structure wasn't just, nostalgic. It was literally a guaranteed way to run out of money and lose the entire AI race to bad actors.
Okay, so to understand how we reached this boiling point, let's look back at the original open promise.
Picture this for a second. It's December 2015. There's a private dinner at the Rosewood Sandhill Hotel in Menlo Park. Musk, Altman, and a few others sit down and agree on a staggering $1 billion initial funding pledge just to launch a charity. The mandate back then was crystal clear: build a nonprofit dedicated strictly to open source research. Musk himself poured in tens of millions of dollars to fund payroll and recruit top talent. And why? Because OpenAI was explicitly intended to be a transparent, open counterweight to Google's growing AI monopoly. They wanted AGI built for humanity, totally untouched by Wall Street's quarterly earnings pressures.
But as the research accelerated, they slammed into a massive, unavoidable wall: the billion-dollar compute problem.
$100 billion. Let that sink in. This isn't some wild exaggeration, it is the sheer, terrifying physics and economics of artificial intelligence. Altman quickly realized that building safe AGI didn't just take a few $1,000,000 to pay smart researchers, it required staggering infrastructure. We're talking massive custom compute clusters, megawatts of power, giant data centers. The cold reality set in that a traditional charity just simply cannot raise $100 billion through standard philanthropy.
So Altman faced this brutal pragmatic dilemma. On one hand, you have the traditional donor-funded charity model, which, let's be honest, struggles to raise the billions needed just to train the next generation of models. On the other hand, you have massive state or corporate actors like Google or even authoritarian regimes who basically have limitless resources. Altman's argument is that if OpenAI had stayed a pure charity, they'd be a footnote today. Those state or corporate actors would totally monopolize AGI without any safety guardrails. Basically, they had to adapt to survive.
But this realization of scale didn't unite the founders. Actually, it completely fractured them, leading to the bitter 2018 split.
So by 2017, Google DeepMind was rapidly pulling ahead. Musk was getting deeply concerned, especially after Google co-founder Larry Page allegedly called him a speciesist for prioritizing human consciousness over machine consciousness. Wild, right? So Musk proposed a radical solution in early 2018. He wanted Tesla to just acquire OpenAI outright. He wanted majority equity and CEO control to fight Google using Tesla's hardware. But by mid-2018, the board, including Altman, completely refused to hand Musk autocratic control. The result? Musk walked away. He reneged on the rest of his funding pledge and reportedly told them they had a 0% chance of success.
Well, without Musk's money, OpenAI had to pivot hard. Altman engineered this really fascinating legal loophole, the capped profits subsidiary. Because, nothing says saving humanity quite like inventing a brand new corporate tax structure. Basically, it's a unique setup where investor returns are strictly limited, and any excess value theoretically flows right back to the nonprofit arm. This specific maneuver is what allowed OpenAI to sell exclusive IP licenses to Microsoft for billions of dollars. That granted them access to the hundreds of thousands of GPUs required to train world-changing models like GPT-4.
But of course, this new structure invited an entirely new set of problems. Let's get into corporate partnerships and power.
Musk vehemently attacks this model. He argues that capped profit is just Silicon Valley speak for a hedge fund. He claims that OpenAI used safety as a really convenient excuse to keep their model weights closed and proprietary, yet they actively rushed GPT-4 to the consumer market specifically just to beat Google's Bard. For Musk, this is undeniable smoking gun proof that under the Microsoft partnership, profit dictates the safety timeline, not the other way around.
And this underlying tension absolutely exploded into public view during that incredible boardroom crisis of late 2023. You probably remember this. In November, the original nonprofit board abruptly fired Sam Altman, stating they had lost trust in his candor. But within 3 days, Microsoft steps in, flexes its immense financial muscle, and essentially threatens to pull the plug on the computing power OpenAI needed to even exist. By day 5, Altman is reinstated and the nonprofit board is totally gutted. Fast forward to 2024, top safety researchers like Jan Leik and Leopold Aschenbrunner publicly walked out. Musk points to all this absolute chaos as definitive proof of corporate capture.
Which brings us right to the present day, the final ideological clash.
Today, both men are building exactly what they believe in, which actually reveals a pretty deep irony. Musk launched his own company, XAI, and Altman is super quick to point out the hypocrisy here. Musk is suing OpenAI over profit motives, yet his own XAI is a for-profit benefit corp that quickly raised $6 billion from venture capitalists. Meanwhile, OpenAI is actively shifting to become a standard Delaware public benefit corporation. Now, Musk champions an open-source approach, dropping models like Grok out into the wild, while OpenAI keeps its models locked securely behind a closed, proprietary API. They are executing completely opposite philosophies on how to handle the most powerful technology on Earth.
For Musk, though, the ethics are simple. Taking tax-exempt public donations to build foundational technology, only to flip those assets into private shares for mega investors, well, it's the tech equivalent of a charity building a beautiful public park and then suddenly fencing it off to charge VIP admission. He views it as a fundamental theft from the public trust.
To really grasp what's at stake here, we have to look fairly at both sides. On one side, you have the open purist view championed by Musk. This perspective sees a closed cartel controlling a singular superintelligence as a literal existential threat to humanity. To them, power must be decentralized and the technology must be radically open, kind of like Meta's Llama models. On the other side is the pragmatic frontier view championed by Altman. This perspective argues that open sourcing raw, unaligned superintelligence, we're talking tech with potential bioweapon or cyber warfare capabilities, well, that isn't democratic at all. It's reckless. It demands massive capital and heavily governed APIs to actually keep us safe.
Altman's final defense is purely pragmatic. You simply cannot crowdfund the next industrial revolution with charity gallots. AGI requires custom silicon and massive energy grids. He insists that the nonprofit arm still holds a massive equity stake to fund global access. But ultimately, Altman argues that history is not going to care about their corporate legal structures. History will judge them solely by whether they successfully and safely deploy AGI to elevate human civilization, rather than letting bad actors win the race.
So this leaves us with the ultimate question. Who should own the future of artificial intelligence? Should the singularity be decentralized, open source, and radically transparent, even if it risks putting incredibly dangerous tools into the wrong hands? Or must it be governed by a pragmatic, heavily capitalized frontier, even if that means trusting a massive corporation with the most powerful technology in human history? The decisions being made right now by these two men will literally shape our future. So where do you stand?